Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. I'm your host, Michael Andre Ford in Texas, with amazing guests from all over the world with incredible insights. They often take steps with angels and other loving figures on air. It's not a must. This is really a casual program. I'm going to encourage you to like, share, subscribe, comment. We don't get enough of those, even though a lot of you are visiting the channel. We're about to break, I think it's 400,000 to 450,000 channel views overall. The algorithm's been killing us in the early part of 2024, a little bit for the Daily Show viewership, but the good news is we're going to 3 shows a week in June. So by the time you see this, we're already 3 or 4 months in. We have an amazing guest, high vibe, super seasoned, 12, 13 books now. One just came out. She's literally a metaphysical psychologist, but she's a healer. She's totally attuned and she loves helping other people. It's going to come out in the interview how high vibe she is. I'm a huge fan. Dr. Kristian Strang coming to us from Oregon. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael. I'm so thrilled that the universe, the divine, the angels brought us together. Thank you so much for the beautiful work you're doing and for having me on.
Well, you're super patient. You're super open, not just with me, but I suspect on everything you touch and do. And we had a chance to spend just about half an hour together as a quick little kind of virtual tea. And I mean, I jammed you with a lot because I knew you were like, should I leave more time? I'm like, no. And you did a ton of stuff. So I'm really thankful for you having been so patient with that and for being on the show. And I hope to have you back on as much as you would like in the future. Can you talk to us when this all began for you? Was it childhood? Somewhere along the way, you sort of committed to the idea of helping others, being so open, and kind of just flowing the force from Star Wars in a way.
Oh my gosh, so much good stuff here. Yes, yes, I loved our virtual tea together. Your work is so brilliant. I love your connection to the angels. And of course, my connection with the angels is really strong as well. So when we meet other angelics, it's just such an exciting, inspiring experience. I didn't start out this way though. I certainly had like a very heavy sort of childhood scenario, which I don't think is uncommon for a lot of us, but I certainly wasn't aware of my gifts at a young age. It wasn't until I was 28, 29 in what Western astrology might call my Saturn return that I had a health crisis. And I had been very healthy and had prided myself on that. I wrote like a health conscious blog. I was, back when blogs were a thing. And so when I got this diagnosis, I was really rocked by it. And it really rocked the foundation of my life. At that point, I considered myself agnostic because I had been raised in a really intense religious environment. So 28, 29, I'm like, I know a God exists, but I'm so burnt by that experience in a Christian religion that I don't know anything more than that. I got really sick. I had to have an emergency surgery. I was totally in the allopathic model at that time. I was totally, all about Western medicine. I had been taking, anxiety medication and, whatever they gave me, birth control, whatever they gave me. But after that surgery, I got more and more ill and they couldn't tell me why. And that really set me on a journey of trying alternative therapies, which to me are really like foundational natural therapies now. But naturopath, Reiki, I was just willing to do anything, but nothing was really helping me. And so I had this really synchronistic experience with another, now I realize, angelic being. I met her randomly at a networking event and she started talking to me about psychic surgeries that happen in Brazil. And the minute she told me about this, I knew that's what I need. That is what my body needs. And so I did not have the money for this trip, but she was going like within 9 months. She said, I'd always wanted to take someone. Maybe I could take you. And I said, yes, let's go. And so I went to Brazil, not knowing the language, not knowing anyone or anything, not even knowing this woman. But immediately, once I said yes to the trip, I started having dreams about this healing and knowing that this really was the right path for me. So I went to Brazil. A woman prayed over me and a group of other humans in Portuguese. I have no idea what she said, but I do know that things started moving from within my body. So inside out, I could feel things moving in my womb, which is where I was having the illness, and all throughout my body. And it felt like 5 minutes, but we were in there for 35 minutes. I came out of that kind of like woozy, like what just happened to me. But they said, you've just had a surgery. You cannot go anywhere. You cannot see anyone. You have to stay down for 24 hours. And I thought, this seems a little like, they said, we applied anesthesia. So you're going to feel fine right now, but you won't be that way for the whole 24 hours. So you need to go and rest. And I was like, this is kind of silly. They're really playing this up. I was still very skeptical. But I did what I was told because my friend, or this woman who is now my friend, took me. She said, you have to follow the rules. It's very important. So I did. And within a few hours, I finally was able to kind of fall into a deep sleep. I woke up from what was like a 2-hour nap and I could not move. I literally could not move my body. I was laying in this twin bed in the middle of nowhere, Brazil. My friend is gone. Like there's no one around. We're in this small posada or hotel. And I start freaking out. And I even start being like, where's my anxiety medication? But I didn't have any, like I'm just like, I just have to be here with whatever's going on. And so I did something that I hadn't done in years. I started to pray and I just prayed, please, God, let me live. I don't know who God is. I don't know like what this is about. But I said, if you let me live, I will do whatever you want me to do. Just get me through this. Whatever, however I can be of service, whatever I can do, I will do it. Just let me get through this. And I just kept chanting that prayer. And it was maybe a few minutes. It didn't take long. All of a sudden, this wave of light just like came over me. I started hearing like happy voices of the other guests outside laughing, and that kind of soothed me. My friend came back within an hour. She was like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. I can't move. Like, so she went and got a naturopath to come in, and what he said to me? He said, well, the anesthesia wore off. And I was like, what? This was not real. But from that moment forward, my life was totally changed. I started seeing angels would come visit me at night. I would see golden lights coming above my body, working on my body. It took me about 4 days to be able to walk after that. It took a lot out of me, but I was a completely different person from that moment on. I started having healing energy coming out of my hands. I didn't know that. I just knew I'm a very affectionate person, but if I would touch someone, they would say, that pain in my back just went away. What did you do? I was like, I didn't do anything. I started having just like this psychic information that I couldn't possibly have about people. Just everything changed. I went back to my life in Portland, Oregon at that time, and I couldn't stay in the city. I was just totally overwhelmed by the energy. So I went to Kauai. I wrote my first book and just started deep diving into quantum physics, energy medicine, prayer, meditation. I wanted to understand what had happened to me. How did this woman pray over me? And oh, by the way, I healed. I never had another issue with my body from that moment on. Like the whole like illness was gone. So it just changed everything for me. And that was in 2008. And I have been on this journey ever since. And in 2010, I found a modality that I could channel my healing gifts through, which is known as body talk. So I started my private practice. It built up wait list only. Then we did groups and we, sold out the event center. It just kept growing and growing. And I just kept receiving books to write. I now just released book 13. So it literally was getting sick and then following the signs to my path that it changed my whole life, and literally the best thing that ever happened to me.
Incredible. Okay. And it wasn't John of God. It was a woman down Portuguese. What town was she in, if I can ask?
No, it was John of
Oh, it
God.
was John of God. Okay. But with
It,
assistance or one of the groups that does.
yeah, I never I met him like once, but I had a woman that did our psychic surgery and she was incredible. So the energy it's in Abadania, Brazil. It literally, the energy was unlike anything. I went back in 2013 just for my spiritual development. And that's when 5 ascended masters came to me and said, we're going to work with you. We're going to help you with your practice. And then people started seeing them in the sessions and they started getting psychic surgeries through the sessions. So, I mean, the energy, it's on a crystal vortex there. So, I mean, it's just the highest frequency I've ever experienced. You would literally think about something and it would happen. I remember thinking like, I'd love a bowl of soup. And literally a woman walked into my room and said, would you like a bowl of soup? I mean, it was just incredible.
Oh, and that's a big journey. I mean, that's about as big as it gets, short of like Kathmandu somewhere. And that's also meaning you were desperate and on the last
Yes,
ropes.
exactly.
Okay, so let's go really basic for all the viewers. I mean, you could be a 50-year healer watching in Germany, and this is 5 years in the future. You could be just getting off the truck and wondering who Oprah is, and everyone in between. How big is the universe? Do angels exist? And can you take it from there for where you are in appreciating everything? Is it constantly changing? Is it constantly morphing or growing and constantly leaving you just shaking your head going, I thought I knew something yesterday. Holy cow.
That exactly that. And I've had experiences where I felt like, okay, I understand what's happening here. I understand the angels, the guides, I understand this human experience. And then something else happens. I'm like, I know nothing. Like it's so vast, it's so big, it's so much more than we could ever imagine. And I'm constantly learning and growing. I really feel like we are all on an awakening journey. Like that was my spiritual awakening, but it was one of a million, like I have awakenings every day of new clarity about what we're doing here and why it matters and who our guides are. And so, yes, the universe is infinite and vast, and angels absolutely are real. I mean, I physically saw them in Brazil. The frequency was so high that you could physically see them. You'd see them outside the door of someone who had just had a surgery. Like I was, in the community area eating, and we'd look at their door and you'd see the golden light, and it was in the shape of an angel, and they would come to me at night. They still come to me. It's like there's no denying it. My agnostic faith went out the window the minute I had that experience, and it just keeps growing. It just keeps growing and expanding, which I love, but is also stress, a little stressful to the human ego and personality that wants to know with certainty what this is. It just keeps growing and expanding.
Is it fair to say love's the fabric of the universe? And this is just technically about love, not about the details, even though we care very much about them. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. I know there's a lot of spiritual beliefs and a lot of spiritual rhetoric out there that's really attached to dualism and duality being like, that's just what it is, and that's not what I've been shown. I've been shown again and again that love is really the foundation of the universe. That if someone has issues with like God or source or whatever, just get to love. Because love is the launching point for all the higher frequency vibrations. So, and we can get to love through appreciation and gratitude. So I actually don't believe in dualism as like the only alternative or the only option, and that like, oh, if there's light there has to be dark. I don't believe that's true at all. I believe that it is all love and light at the core, and that's just what I've been shown again and again and again on my journey for myself and also with the souls that I serve.
So you don't have to worry too much about stuff that isn't happiness, love, being at peace. Where you put your focus is where you put your focus. How you spend your energy is how you spend it.
That's right. And I do feel like it is important for us to know like what we're working with here on earth. I think that is important. That was kind of a blind spot for me for a while. And then in 2020, it was like, Kristian, you have to see some things you didn't want to see and you didn't want to know about the earth.
Yeah. And with that, I'll mention, it's been 13, 12 years of angels and, photos of angels helping people see, but they only gave their backgrounds. I mean, they've always said they live within you and around you, come in all sizes, shapes, colors, all sorts of backgrounds, pure love, don't want to interfere for the most part. Sometimes you've signed up for stuff like a waypoint in your life and you'll get the help whether you knew it or not. And it's just to keep you like a giant slalom ski course. You're supposed to make at least like 3 of the gates as you ski down the mountain. The rest, it's all up to you. You could be just wide world of sports, ABC, tumbling down the mountain. But so the point is they shared some of their backgrounds. I'm only up to about 6 or 7 angels, but Orion is part of it, Andromeda, Sirius. I mean, that can be a lot to take in, but it's just love. And if anyone's seen the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie, they were all wearing green suits. They all looked a lot different from each other, and they all came from different places. So I love that as a reminder to keep it easy. How do you handle how big the universe is? It's big. When you get going, do you have a certain group of helpers that are at the forefront, or it changes up for each person? It just depends.
Yeah, so I do have a team that I work with, and I call them the highest light team, because that was something that became very important for me on my journey to recognize that this is a multidimensional experience on Earth. So there's all different kinds of dimensions of beings that like want to be in there and chatting with the humans. And so for me, it became really important to set my boundary, like only the highest light beings, meaning they're working direct with source. That's all I want to work with. So I just set that boundary, and that is my energetic team. In 2020, I had another big shift, and Mary Magdalene really stepped into the forefront with me and said, I want to assist you and support you and guide you. And so I channeled a book, Love Letters from Mary Magdalene, where we shared like her truth of her story, because there's so much twisted upness about Mary Magdalene and Yeshua and their path together. And they are from Sirius. So yeah, very cool. And I didn't know either until they revealed that to me. So for me, I really see this life experience as it's so multidimensional. And so what we focus on is what expands. Who we're working with on our spiritual teams, we can request that. A lot of times I'll work with clients who are disempowered, like I was at different times in my life, feeling like, well, whoever shows up, I just have to like be okay. You're here giving me messages, but we are divine beings, and we can say, and what I do is I say, like, if you're of the highest light, bring on those messages. If you're not of the highest light, I'm sorry, I'm not available for that. So I always want to empower us, those of us who have these gifts and connect in with these energies, to know that like this is a multidimensional experience, and we do get to choose who we want to connect with in non-physical as well.
And I think we should take a second on the whole interdimensional, transdimensional, multidimensional. It's been a lot like in the social media these days, but more on the UFO UAP front. And I mean, there's a lot of thinking going on there. It's got to happen. People need to have it their way. And there's going to be a lot more talking and government stuff, company stuff, and FOIA requests, or Freedom of Information Act requests. But just to talk about, we're all sort of interdimensional light beings in a way when we're connecting with others through love and the universe. Can you talk to us about, it's really more simple than it all sounds?
Yeah. And I feel like it is really more simple than it all sounds, because love will get you there. Because if you can, gratitude, get to the feeling of love, that opens the heart, which then, just like what I see, is it opens your whole field, and then you can really connect with source or your higher self. So I really just encourage people, like, yes, we're not here to just like act like, oh, I'm not on a dualistic plane, but we are here to recognize what we're working with on Earth, and then get to love, and then you're going to get your next steps, and those next steps, often we want the whole enchilada, right? Like you're talking about that ski slope, we do have an outline of certain choice points, certain things we have to go through, but we also have a lot of free will. So we really, if we can get to love, we can get that next step, like, okay, listen to this podcast with Michael and Dr. Kristian, like, okay, subscribe to Michael's podcast, like we'll get those different steps. And that helps us. If we follow those steps, that's going to help our light pathway be lit up more and more. Most humans will get frustrated and be like, no, I want to know who the love of my life is, or I want to know what my highest career is, or I want to know, where's all the money that I'm supposed to have. If we just follow those little signs, those are going to lead us to everything that we could possibly want and more. And it will not come the way that we think it will. And it won't come like maybe the traditional way, but it will come, and it will be satisfying to your soul.
So the heart, or just positivity, is abundance. Just starting here first, everything else unfolds. And then angels can alter your path too. So you might be starting to be like Hank Aaron at the plate, swinging away a lot of home runs, and you realize, I'd like to have fun going this direction. You can ask for it. There's not a lot that's off limits. There's some stuff that you signed up for that's written. And have you had to deal with that over time as well? Certain conditions people are supposed to carry, but you can tweak how much maybe they're feeling the shakes as part of the disease. they can hear for themselves how much they can turn the volume down on this and feel a little less that, but they still got to carry some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, there are certain things that we did sign up for that, and the reason we signed up for them is because one, we wanted to have the experience and then transcending that being like a heavy thing in our life. So in your example of like an illness, if it is a quote unquote karmic illness, meaning it's something that the soul has agreed to evolve forward for the family lineage, for their own soul, for their own body, then it isn't like chasing a cure. It is about the development that that illness is giving you. So the body, the way that I see it is that the physical body is an extension of the karma, the mind, the spirit. So whatever manifests in the body needs to manifest. Like in my example, if I had not had that illness, I was so off track. Like I was so off track with where I was supposed to be. If I hadn't had that illness, I don't know. There's nothing else like almost dying, which does not happen to most people who have psychic surgeries, but feeling like you're almost like you're dead. I had no life force energy. That had to happen to me. That was the only way, Michael, I was going to surrender my life to the divine. That had to happen for me. So we get what we need. And so that we can't, so was my body like wrong for how it was responding? No, it was guiding me on my path. So I really encourage people to look at their body as guiding them on their path. And how can the manifestation of these symptoms? I really recommend removing labels. I don't believe in diagnosis. I believe those are curses. So the thing is to work with the symptoms in an elevated way. How can I work with this symptom in a way that's going to really bring more joy and peace to my soul? Because really, the body is just trying to develop you as a spiritual being. So I really look at illness in a totally different way now from my now 14 years of working with humans and working with illness and working with symptoms. I've moved completely out of the need to test, to label, to do any of those things and really trust the body. The body is a divine portal. It is an advanced technology. There's no technology that does what we do. I mean, the humans keep trying to create it. They can't. This body is so divine. So if your body's giving you symptoms, that is wisdom. So now you get to work with the wisdom. Oh, I notice that when I don't eat sugar, my symptoms lessen. Oh, I notice when I don't have dairy, my symptoms lessen. Oh, I notice when I go for a walk in nature, I feel more filled with vitality. So really letting your body guide you, it's a great tool, especially if you don't know where to start. What are you feeling in your body? That will guide you.
I have this great quote somewhere. I'll see if I can find it. But this does remind me of all the long time for generations, indigenous healing all over the planet, and doing basically listening at the core.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And the power of prayer. In my example, I was in a high vibrational frequency location on earth and I prayed, please God, I will do anything, to not have to die right now. I'm 30. I'm not ready to go yet. So if we can place ourselves in those high vibrational locations and states, and then we offer up a prayer that comes from our whole heart, not from our mind, like, please God, let me be famous, but please God, let me feel satisfied and fulfilled and feel peace and joy and love every day. That's a prayer that can.
So it's like trying to drive a car, but you don't even have the keys. You haven't inspected it. You haven't even gotten behind the wheel. You got to know your own vehicle and at least look under the hood, make sure the oil's topped off, you're doing the right stuff, and then focus on where you want to go. So it's getting here first and owning what
Yes.
you got.
Yes.
Okay. So talk to us about compassion, kindness, gentleness, how, and we'll go, I guess, an eternal question or a big picture thing for man. Awareness is on the horizon for mankind. Thinking's not going away, but just doing a little less makes all the difference. How is the rat race really here? Back to the kind of car analogy. How is it not external and this going on over there in this country or global this or global that? How is the rat race really here? And how do we let go more to get to here? And why is that everything? And it's kind of the flip side of what we just talked about.
Yeah. Well, I love that movie. I don't know if you saw it, Michael, but I'm sure you probably did. What the bleep do we know? And it does a great job of illustrating like the holographic nature of this experience on Earth. So we think all these things are out there, but it all starts inside of us. I was just actually doing a self-healing. So in 2015, I developed, or I received, I should say, a modality, a spiritual healing modality. And I use this modality on myself all the time. And so I was just doing a self-healing on myself where we're rewriting what has already taken place. We're rewriting the timeline. And so what we get to see there is that everything that we have power over is happening within here. So if we can rewrite the stories and the frequency of what's happening in here, the external changes. I just had this experience. I did the self-healing. I rewrote the past, and literally like maybe 2 minutes later, I received a message from the person that I was having a little discord with, completely squashing it, all love, completely transformed the scenario. Why did that scenario transform? Because I rewrote the timeline, I transformed within myself, and immediately the external shifted. Doesn't always get to happen that fast, but when it does, it's really fun. So if we imagine if all of us were doing this, if we were all taking responsibility for our internal climate and the rat race in the mind and the tension in the body, would we have the wars? Would we have the situations that are happening? Would animals be killing each other and eating each other? I don't know that they would. So when we shift what's happening inside of us, the external shifts. So that's the number one jam. You can't go stop a major crisis, a global crisis, but you can stop the crisis within yourself. And that will start to shift what is happening in the external world. We're not doing it for that reason. That's really important. It's not like, I'm going to change the world, so I'm going to do this thing and then this war is going to stop. No, but if enough of us collectively shift internally, we won't be in the same kind of situation that we're in on Earth. And that's humbling, but important to take responsibility that we have collectively created this scenario, and we can collectively create a new scenario if we'd like.
And in a way, you could apply that to the UAP, UFO disclosure movement going on
Yes.
on social media. If more people just got going being in their heart, they're going to have direct experiences. It'll kind of dwarf anything that comes out of a news service, a social media site, or even a podcast. Not that that's not important. That's more like sports announcers, the blow by blow of what's going on the field. But if you get past the stadium, there's a lot of other sports going on, and that's kind of my analogy. It's just broader than people realize. It's already here, it's been here, and it's just love. Doesn't have to be too complex. Okay.
Yes.
Zen, I love Zen only because they remind you to get to your heart. They test you. Are you in your heart? Can you show it? So the whole idea of a Zen master and a student, there's Joshu, I cannot pronounce anything, Lao Tse, if I said it correctly. But there are these classic quotes. I want to say one out loud. A student comes rushing up to the master to prove that he's sort of arrived here. He's kind of ready to graduate and go on even par, even keel with the master. Says, what about it when I seek to be Buddha? And the teacher says, what a tremendous waste of energy. And then the teacher, quick as a whip, says, well, what about it when I don't waste energy? And the teacher said, in that case, you are Buddha. And so isn't that when we're up here, we're wasting a lot of energy doing fear, stress, reacting, worry, rejecting, resisting, guilt, all the rest. And there's not much you can do about it in the big picture. You're still going to do a little bit of it, but you can lessen it or let go of a lot. Can you talk to us about walking a smoother path, whether it's meditation, mindfulness, just your own version of gardening, grow the carrots better and experience more peace with the carrots?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I love that that story you just told. I had chills when you shared that. I believe, and for me, this was certainly the case, daily meditation is an incredible tool for transforming your consciousness, for connecting with your angels, for connecting with your spiritual team, for connecting with your higher self. I hear people say, and I was just interviewed on a podcast, and this man told me, oh, I can't meditate. I've tried, it doesn't work. And I was the same way before my psychic surgery in 2008. But what I can promise you is that just like exercise, just like any habit that you create, it is cumulative. So if you can just sit for 3 minutes in silence every single day, I don't believe it has to be like the same time every day. I'm not telling people, you don't have to be rigid about this. Just make sure every single day you are sitting in silence or with a guided meditation. A guided meditation is a great place to start when you're developing your practice. And I have days where there's a lot on my plate or a lot going on. So I do a guided meditation because then I don't have to I can just surrender into that guided meditation. And that's a beautiful way to go. And I have a lot of free guided meditations and offerings on my site and that I gift to people because I want to make it easy for you because meditation is so transformative. We can look at the third and fourth dimensional science and see that it has all these health benefits. So if that gets you going, great, start there. But spiritually, it's like plugging into your higher consciousness. It's plugging into your spiritual team. You don't even have to know consciously what's happening. Just your invitation. This is something I tell folks. If you can just sit and be, I am willing. I am willing. I'm willing to know myself more deeply. I'm willing to open my heart. I'm willing to know more than I know right now. So all you have to be is willing to open the space. So I really see meditation as a foundational practice. I recommend starting with 11 minutes a day and then building from there. I certainly have days where 11 minutes is all I have time for, and I have days that 2 hours is exactly what my soul and spirit needs. So all this comparison and I have to do it like this and all this rigidity, you can let go of that if you just do it every single day. Whenever you have time, just do it. It will start to change your life. I promise you that.
And you talk about dogma, rituals, and so on. I mean, everything has its place, but you're very like, hey, there's a million and one ways to get into the heart. So it's not about any one way. It's
Yes.
always.
Yes, exactly right. There's so many different ways to open the human. So meditation is a great way to do that I found in my practice. Prayer, I really believe talking to the divine, talking to your angels, even if you're like, I'm not really sure if they're here or I don't know. Just try it out.
And I
Just
love
try it out.
saying prayer. I like saying words through the heart too. For those who just don't even know, they're like, I'm not sure. Just flow words through your heart, and you have
Yeah.
to own and do your own figuring it out. You have to own it.
Yes.
Radiohead Lotus Flower, exactly 5 minutes long. It's a great song. I've got it on my fun videos list on my YouTube channel. So if you want to find something that I call the surefire way of like, you're the person who's like, I can't meditate. If you don't mind me saying this out loud, grab a bunch of stuffed animals, pillows, put a couple beach towels down, cushions if you want. You can make it comfortable. Get your favorite pillow, put a beach towel under that to make it safe on the carpet. Lie down, play the song on repeat, and watch what happens. You might see light on your eyelids. I love that to just kind of Calgon take you away.
Love it. Oh, that's great. Radiohead Lotus Flower.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a cute, it's a beautiful song. So
I
and
want to
it's
check it out.
yeah, it's on the YouTube channel. I actually put it up. And so hey, I wanted to ask, everyone's good where they are, and mankind's good where it's at. It's easy to start yelling nuclear weapons or this or climate or we got to do this because of this. And yes, there does appear to be a lot of talk about mankind growing. There's been the talk for decades about the shift, and that was a really popular term I'm not hearing as much anymore. I wanted to ask is, would the following be a game changer that wouldn't be interference from the universe, but it would accelerate things? Because one angel once said 3 hours. I asked one big question once. The little question was, do angels really drink the coffee when they're in human form here? And the answer was yes, from a Charlotte, and I got to see her at a Starbucks doing that. But the big picture questions, who killed Kennedy, climate change, all the rest, this one though, if everyone could start seeing each other's light, most people, wouldn't that be a game changer for you to be like, ooh, I was just kind of mean to the cab driver and I just saw a light that I'm not like, or lower vibrational frequency that I'm like, and you didn't feel good and you paid attention quicker. Wouldn't that be kind of a shift for how we flow?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. I mean, anytime we can get to more compassion for ourselves and for others, we are changing the game that we're experiencing. My spiritual team often calls this like, this is a game of life. How do you want to play it?
Mm,
What do you want your legacy to be? Do you want your legacy to be that you were, a jerk to the cab driver, or you were someone who, even if the cab driver was cranky, you were like flowing love to them and you were seeing their light? Like, this is the game of life, and we have lots of different ways of looking at it, because again, we've got this multi-dimensional reality, and some people are experiencing things they don't love and other people are experiencing things they love. So you get to decide where you put your focus. That is the one thing we have control over, where you put your attention, and that will call more of it to you. Again, doesn't mean you bypass what's really happening, but it means you don't get stuck there, because this is the game of life. You get to decide how you play it. To your point, Michael, I think we're not hearing a lot about the shift, because the shift has happened.
mm,
The shift has happened. I believe we did hit a tipping point, and we will continue to see more and more light
mm,
encompass our vehicles, our physical bodies. And the more that we take ownership and we get excited about creating our own personal heaven on earth, I
mm,
really encourage people, start creating your own golden age now. Start creating your own personal heaven on earth now. You can't control all the other things that are happening out there, but you can create a beautiful oasis for yourself to be. You can be loving in your relationships. You can be loving to the cab driver. You can choose to nourish your body with organic, high vibrational frequency. You can let go of lower frequency foods, beverages, relationships. Like, you can create a beautiful existence for yourself at whatever level is available to you. Maybe it's very, very simple that you get 5 minutes every morning to just breathe and be in your body and be in silence, or listen to a Radiohead Lotus Flower. You can start there. Maybe it's, I can plant, I've got a little balcony and I can plant a little garden, container garden. Perfect. Whatever your version of heaven on earth is, start to bring those pieces in now. Start to create that in your life. If we focused more there, how can I create my own personal heaven on earth? We'd be able to see the light in others, because we'd be nurturing the light within ourselves. So if this is a hologram and we are all just fractals of each other, it might be cool to play with the possibility that how you treat others and how you treat yourself is going to call more of that to you.
mm,
I mean, we know all the great masters have talked about this, like attracts like, ask and it is given, what you focus on, expand. Like, we know this.
mm.
So maybe we just put it into practice more and more of the time.
Now I'm about to ask you about seeing light, because there's probably like a dozen different ways you've experienced it. Eyes open, eyes shut on people, also for healing modality work and stuff like that. But I wanted to do a quick tangent, which was Mateus de Stefano, if I said his name correctly. Sorry, partly from Argentina and elsewhere. Um, he was on a show the other day, and he was really funny because he says and he believes and he does have all these past lives, but he's very aware. But here in this environment, candy, he doesn't get access to. He's like, I'm thankful for candy. He has a completely different, he's wide open, and I can relate to like a can of Coca-Cola. I'm like, oh, it's like whiskey. It's like the most, I mean, I don't drink a lot of whiskey or anything like that, but I'm just saying a can of Coke is very special to me. And I like it. So I wanted to just mention, like, there's little moments. The more you slow down and enjoy, like, just maybe a half can of Coke, but it'll taste like 12 Cokes. How about that?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, and there is a consciousness thing. We've heard about the Buddhist monks who like ate arsenic and didn't die and it was fine for them. You can elevate your consciousness if, to you, in your example, the Coke is like this really wonderful thing. You
Yeah.
can transcend the consciousness of like the third dimensional reality, which is like, this is full of chemicals,
It's one third, yeah, sugar, and then the rest, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, so
That's so funny.
your consciousness does determine your experience. It's just not as many humans are like masterful at that, right? Yeah.
So it's like Peaceful Warrior, the movie with Nick Nolte and Scott Mekowitz, Amy Smart, and it's by Dan Millman. But the movie was interesting because there's a point where after they've been, and forgive the expression, they've been super holy, super good, super doing a certain routine. And then Socrates, the Mr. Miyagi figure, takes him to the bar. Next thing you know, it's a whiskey and a cigar. And he's like, whoa, what? And he's watching his teacher do a cigar and a whiskey. That would kind of be the point, right?
Yeah, that your consciousness would be in a place where you're having a transcendent experience with that. It's not lowering your frequency or polluting your body. So being able to transcend matter is, a whole other level of mastery. I find it's so important to find what brings you joy, like you were saying. So for me, it just brings me so much joy. Like yesterday we had vegan milkshakes, and it like just brought me so much joy. Also, my body was happy with it too, which would not be the case with a traditional milkshake. So find what like really brings you joy. And I always recommend, like, if you have a certain food that you crave, that you love, find the highest frequency version of that food. Like, I'm a huge mac and cheese girl. I love mac and cheese. So what's like the highest frequency mac and cheese I can find, so it's not working against my vibration. So like, we found this cart that's gluten-free, vegan mac and cheese. So that's perfect for my body. My body's going to love that. So I found a high frequency option. So whatever it is that you love, just find the highest frequency option of that. If you can't, bless the option you're about to take in and affirm that it's providing healing and radiance and expansion to your cells. So there's a lot of great ways we can work with being on earth, because eating is like something we get to do here that not we don't get to do everywhere. So eating is a really fun thing, and I recommend having a lot of fun with it, and whenever possible, choosing the highest frequency, because we know at a third dimensional level there's a lot of compromising to our food and water systems.
And so we're coming back to the light thing in just a second, but wouldn't it be the case that most folks, whether they know it or not, unconsciously are in the zone? They're doing stuff like flipping a light switch or just watering the plant. Maybe they're moving a little fast up top. Their brain, their psyche, their intellect, their ego, whatever, is not going to give any credit or worry about the act. So it really doesn't pay attention to it, but it does get forgotten as soon as it's happening. So you give yourself no appreciation for the moment. But so there's nothing really to lose here. There's nothing to gain. It's moving past the whole trying to keep a tally, or it's this, it's that. It's yeah, moving past the negative. So can you talk to us about how it's back to what you said earlier, heaven on earth, it's here and now. You're already fully an Olympian. You just got to actually like stop looking at your toes or stop looking straight up. You got to pay a little more attention, right?
Yes, absolutely. Our focus and attention changes the game on that watering the lawn or whatever it is that we're doing. When you bring yourself into your body and allow yourself to really experience whatever you're experiencing, you have a richer human experience. Like I remember back in the day before my first awakening, I would just have days where I was like, whatever, what did I even do today? You're just kind of on autopilot, like, oh, I worked, I did the job, I ate the food. I wasn't really fully present for any of it.
Mm.
So now my focus is, how present can I be in every moment with my lover, with my friends, with myself, with my clients? Like, how fully present can I be in this moment? Because that enriches the life. And then it does this really cool thing. It stretches time.
Mm.
Now you feel like days are like so much longer, where before days would just fly by like that. It's really incredible what our just that's just shifting your attention, right? Like I just shifted my focus to be fully present, and that changes the whole quality of energy of my day.
So it's like a musician, a soccer player on the pitch. When they're doing really well here, they're in the flow state, either time speeding up, slowing down. They just know where to go, and bam, fourth soccer goal in 15 minutes. But it's not about the goals. It's about they're having fun. They're just performing. But that's kind of what I was saying about the light switch. And as you go through your day, it's amazing. Just the act of walking across a room is a million little muscles and all that other complex stuff. Whoop. Oh, good.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and so, okay, talk to us then about light. You've had light come in for a long time, but when did you first start seeing light on others or having light experiences? In one level, in one sense, it's not important, but in another, it's very much a part of your day or your week or your modalities when you do different types of healings or helping others. Can you start to describe some of those experiences? What's been like the most fun about it? And what's really, I mean, I'm just going to sound Disney here. What's been the most pretty?
I would say, I love that question. I'm going to start with that. I would say the prettiest for me has been when the angels come to visit me and I see them over my body. It's like so amazing, the golden light and how they're hovering. And also what's so amazing about that is that I feel nothing but pure love. From the moment it happened, and I would have thought, oh, I would be afraid seeing this energy, but just absolute love, just feeling so loved, so cared for. I would say that's the prettiest. I started having the experience in 2008 when I had the psychic surgery, like I shared. And then, of course, when I'm doing healing work in my energy medicine practice, I can see the light over the body and I can see the light moving and shifting. And that's really fun to see, especially if someone comes in and they've got a lot of density or, pain or dis-ease. They've got a lot of diagnosis, that there can be a lot of heaviness in the body. And so to see like the lights turn on in the body as we're doing the session is incredible. I love that so much. And then I would say the other piece I really love is that when I sit in meditation, my intention is that I'm plugging into source. And so I will literally see and feel like all of this golden light just flow down my body. And like I've looked at my arm and seen like, golden sparkles coming off my arm. And yeah, I mean, it is really fun. And I also believe we are becoming more light. And that's why in 2020, the organic nutrition came in for my team as a super priority because we're supporting this physical body and becoming less density and more light. So we want to just bring in the highest frequency, whatever we can to support that. And then you'll literally see like golden lights off your body. And it's fun and also a sign of just like you're becoming more of your angelic self in form, which I believe is part of my mission and the mission for many of us to become our divine human selves. So we're in human form and we're also our divine self at the same time. It's not two separate experiences, it's one experience.
Okay, so this next question is going to be a little bit like left field. Paulo Coelho, talk to us about him as an author and how he's really hitting the mark his way. What's your favorite book by him? Is it The Alchemist? Is it something else?
Oh, I don't, what inspired you to ask this question? Because he's like my favorite author and he like got me on the path. So tell me, you
Well,
must
I mean,
have
I've got The
known that.
Alchemist and some others up there, but The Alchemist, I love it because of the boy's journey. And Angels once said, because the boy leaves Spain and he goes to Africa and has all these journeys, but it's like a giant treasure map. And Angels once said, it's like a treasure hunt, classic treasure hunt, but instead of being external, the X is here. You get to find
Yeah.
yourself, and that's when everything takes off. So I love it, but that's what the whole allegory, metaphor, story was with the boy.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So talk to us about your passion for Paulo Coelho. And isn't he fully plugged in? If it was mafia, he's like a mob boss, isn't he?
Totally. I mean, he really like he's the inspiration for the books that I write. Of course, I write when I write my fiction, it's romance, so I've got a heavy romance narrative. But Paulo Coelho's books were so significant after my awakening. I read all of them. So I would say the Zahir is one of my favorites. Brita. I mean, you can't go wrong with, I really believe his early work was total channeling, totally inspired by the divine. And he's doing that thing that I am still honing at, but always working towards to be able to bring through deep spiritual truths through a really engaging story that you just go on the adventure of. I love reading those books where they're taking you on an adventure. The Celestine Prophecy and that series is another example of that, where you're just going on this spiritual adventure. So I love to bring that into my books. Again, I have a heavy romance slant, but Paulo is masterful at that. I would say I have had a harder time with his newer work. I don't know. I like want to sit and talk with him and be like, Paulo, what happened? Because he was just like his first 11 books. I think it was just gold, just absolute transmission from spirit. And then I've read his
Where did
newer.
it, was it the affair one, or where did it?
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
got that. I've got a whatever the pre-published. I don't know how the words work here, but the publishing houses have a pre-version that's like
yes.
the lit agents have it or whatever. So I've got it's a formal looking book, but I've got it on the shelf. I couldn't get into that as much. It's like a red cover or something. Yeah.
Yeah, Aleph and then the newer works. He took a break after those initial. He's something changed for him, and I don't know what it is.
Cool.
But it definitely you can feel the difference in the
Without
frequency.
interfering in his world, but we
Yeah.
will ask Angels in just a second. And I've asked, I think I sent an invite to his wife, who's an artist, I think in Switzerland, but that reminded me once 4 or 5 months or 2 years goes by, I can invite somebody again. It'll be easier in another couple of years to get some really fun folks, additional fun folks on the show. Okay, let's do this. Let's blow some sage. Let's get some angels suggesting topics that you're just like, because I mean, you've got literally 200 topics in a carousel. And if they just say, how about that one? You're off to the races for us, and we get you going again. So this is a classic part of the show. I've lost all ability to talk right now. Sage, I'm going to light it. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if it's 2032. You're watching Dr. Kristian Strang in Oregon, USA right now, Michael Andre Ford in Texas, and you're, whoever this is, we're talking to in New Zealand. You're about to smell some sage through two screens. As a guest on 60 plus shows in the last 2.5 years, I've done this for show hosts, producers, audience, and it's fun when they write, I smelled the sage. But why settle for just sage, which is great? It's universal love, it's plant medicine. You could ask for flowers. And you can ask for ocean on top of that. If you're really gung-ho and just like loosey-goosey and you're like, let's do it. Don't call me Lucy. You can have whatever you want to have. Just ask angels to make it nice. The universe, if you prefer that. Loving figures. I just say angels because I know they exist. Here we go. A little bit of sage, but this is going specially to Kristian. And catch a little bit of light any which way you want. Catch some flowers. People can get, if you've only been to the Seychelles once, you can get those one set of flowers you've never smelled since. It's Egypt or Peru, Costa Rica. Catch what you can catch. You're the only one who can do your own schnoggin smelling or figuring or letting go. So that's what this is all about, is just own it a little more and breathe extra, because your brain's going to want to kick in and hijack it. And then ocean waves if your eyes are shut. And my unofficial rule, I didn't even say my official rule. Official rule is just, hey, my only bit of structure is like, ask angels to make it nice. Hey, angels, get me out of my head into my heart, make it nice. Amen, rock and roll, thank you, Om Sai Ram. Whatever your patented setting your intent is. But if you want to catch a little wave action, like in a men's deodorant commercial, Old Spice, white stallion on the beach, see the beach scene, see the white stallion, skip everybody else, cut out the crew, and just see an ocean, get palm fronds. And if you want to get a little wind in your face, I'll blow through the microphone in a second. You'll get sea spritz. It's really angels. Don't blame me. Here we go. Maybe see Hawaii, Pacific paradise, and a little wind's coming. Hitch a little on your nose. And I'll do it again, but sea spritz this time. And again, it's angels. I'll put up an angel who's light waves of energy and water in a second. Kristian's already met her and going to have a blast. Catch a little more Pacific. Did you get a lot of everything?
Yeah, I loved it. I got a lot of flowers on that one.
Hey, I gotta say, there's absolutely no way we're sticking stickers or emojis that represent people who are wildly open as guests on the show. It would just be wrong. Anybody who's even willing to come on the show, I've had about, out of 160 shows that are officially booked to the end of 2024, there are about 15 guests that couldn't make it. You know, they could have met angels, then they were like, oh, whoa, thinking kicks in and that happens. And then 2 years from now, they'll be the best guest ever, or they just couldn't make it at the front end and they don't show up. That happens. So this is a lot for everyone. It's been a lot for me. It's a lot for you. And it may only be at the bill paying level, or your cousin said something and you're reacting. So it all seems real, but this is what Kristian's talking about on how you feed or allow your energies to flow. Before I put up an angel photo, can you remind us about those flows and which way you're choosing to harness what you got?
I've really found over the years, and maybe this is trite for people that have been on the path for a while, but it's true that gratitude is really like the entry point in. So I start every single day, like literally, I don't get out of bed, I don't check my phone, I don't do anything without doing my spiritual practices. And the first thing I start with is gratitude. And I don't mean just like the trite, like, oh, I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful for, like I really make myself go there, like, oh, that moment yesterday when we were, sitting outside in nature and my feet were touching the grass and I was just feeling the love from the earth. Like, I'm so grateful to have these feet to feel this, experience. Like, I really try to get as deep into the gratitude as I can. And while, if you're in a totally different vibe, like if I'm in a really like annoyed vibe, that's a big vibrational gap. But if I could just start with a little piece, like I'm so grateful for that beautiful meal that I had, or I'm so grateful for my beloved, or I'm so, just like start somewhere. I'm so grateful for my clients that I get to share this healing work with, and just keep milking that, just keep working with it. What was it about that exchange with that person that just felt really yummy? What was it about being on earth yesterday that just felt, I had that moment of joy? Maybe it was fleeting. Maybe it was a really hard day, but I had this little moment where I exchanged glances with that baby in the line. And it was just like, oh, so beautiful. If you can just find those little moments that you can just be like, wow, that's a really special moment. That was really cool, or that was really fun. You start to be able to shift the energy. When I was doing this healing on myself the other day that I mentioned, that's where I started when I was rewriting the timeline. What's just one little baby thing, you can feel grateful for right now? That timeline that I was working with, there's a lot of shit going wrong.
Mhm.
But how can I find just the one little thing, you know? And sometimes it's just tuning into like, wait, there's angels all around me and they're waiting for me to ask for assistance. They can't interfere, but I can ask for help. I can ask for support. In fact, they're here to help those of us on earth. Just a little baby shift that you can make into gratitude can shift the whole flow of your day. And you can gift that to others. That's the other thing. If your partner or your child comes to you and they're in a really heavy space, compliment them. Wow, that color looks so pretty on you. It really brings out your eyes. Or, yeah, I love how you're so committed to your path, or whatever it is. You could just watch them kind of shift. Just start filling them with love. You don't have to get them there, like coach them through it. You can just start appreciating them and complimenting them. And that will start to shift your frequency and shift their frequency. It really is all frequency that we're working with on earth. It really is. I know it's like I've been on this path for a long time, and you think I keep coming back to that. It's all frequency. It's all frequency. My words are spellings. By spelling, I'm creating my reality through my words, through my thoughts. My body is a temple. It's communicating with me in a very holy way. It's letting me know what I need to see, what I need to do. It's redirecting me if I'm off course. In my example, I was so off course in 2007. I was agnostic. What? Like something had to get me back on course.
And there's the old saying, the universe doesn't hear the word not, whether we talk Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks,
Yeah.
and so on. But you can have fun with it. If you're really feeling stuck, like exercise, you can't get through the routine. You're walking, you're running, but you start walking every time you start running. You're like, I'm not into this. The thoughts from work, the cousin, the financial situation is coming in. You can still practice the mindfulness, the gratitude, but do it in a fun way, because if it makes you laugh, that's a shift. So like,
Yes. Yes.
I'm not worth $333 million. I'm not, but in a way that you're like, you saying the not because the universe doesn't hear no. And so now you're saying you're worth $333 million. It's kind of a trick in a way, a fun catch.
Right.
But if you do it in a way that you can only do it if you're playful. It forces playfulness and a little light into the situation when it was a little dire. Like you're stumbling through trying to do a lifting routine, or just something that yesterday was no problem and for most of the week no problem, but you just can't get into it. Find a way to throw the knot in there and kind of juke your ego. It's in a little biplane. It'll go back to the hangar pretty quick, and it can't stick around for that much love and humor. There's a way to play with that doesn't have to be too serious. So,
Oh,
okay.
I love that.
Um, let's do this. I'm going to put up an angel named Joy. She's the emotion joy pink ball light here, but she's the ambassador communicator for folks. So if people want to put their hand out and feel what they want to feel, you may get it down your back. You may use your whole body to feel her. People can see pink sparkles around them in the air. But what does Joy have for you? And she's got a high, peppy voice if you haven't talked to her before or listened. What does she have for you as a reminder for us all?
Hmm. I am hearing Joy say, and she gave this to me when we had our tea, dance, 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 dance. She wants us dancing. And I actually took her up on it the other day when I was having a hard day. And it was like so incredible. One of the ways my team communicates with me is through songs, that I'll wake up with a certain song in my head. And so there's a song that was being brought to me, and then Joy said, dance. And when I just connected with her again, she said, tell everyone to dance. So take time to blast that one song. You don't have to do a whole set list. You don't have to do for 20 minutes. Like, just what's that one song that is like pouring through you, or you hear it and you're like, oh, I love that. And maybe it's a heart-wrenching song. Whatever it is, just let your body move. We are energy in motion. So just keep moving your body. Let yourself feel your emotions through your body, and moving it really can shift your whole frequency as well.
Okay, I'm going to mention three bands that I think are fun, but it's, they're going to be like modern alternative. One is Grimes. Like if Radiohead's multi-tiered, Grimes, ex Elon Musk's girlfriend, I guess is the right word, but
Mm-hmm.
she's Canadian, Claire Bouchard, if I said her right name. she's multi-tiered, like multi-dimensional music, crazy. Small Black and Bedroom is a pretty cool band. I don't know anything about their background, but I like their music. Do you have a favorite couple of bands that for you is expansionary? Let's make up a word.
Yeah. I love the making up words. Oh, I do, but there it's like
I had the
uh,
same problem. I had a chance to think about it ahead of time.
where is
And I,
it? I love Trevor Hall. I
okay.
love, yeah, Nako and Medicine for the People. Appalachia, I believe it's a female group. But there's so many and so many that I love. And I'm kind of blanking out. Natasha Bedingfield, she's not doing a lot of stuff right now, but I used to love her work. I still dance to it a lot. Who else do I love? Oh, there's so many great artists out there. Beautiful Chorus, they have some incredible stuff out there. Sarah McLachlan is that heavier stuff, but a little darker, more emotional, but really transformative. Yeah, there's so many great artists out there to dance to.
If someone's having a hard day, I got one video that I think I put on that fun list on the channel. It's the Hallelujah song from that South African school where during the pandemic they couldn't get together. So somebody, I guess a teacher must have put 40 screens up for the 40 students and then they filmed it. So it's totally available. All you have to do is type in Hallelujah. It's the, oh my God, is it Leonard Bernstein? I don't know how to say the right name of the conductor or composer, but then they sing it and they're a choral group. So they really are incredible. It's so powerful, you're gonna cry. It should be on the long list of fun videos. I think everything's fun. So Sri Kalashwar, when he was alive in India, is on there, thanks to Alan Steinfeld. Mahabharata is on there. Lots of stuff's on there. But there's some music in there as well. That's a beautiful thing. Before we go to another angel, I'm just gonna put a regular lighter up. Name any color you see in the flame. It'll be the usual orange, gold, white. But in a second, we'll have her come in and you can get extra light. So right now, everyone can dumb it down and just see a normal color. I'll get out of the way and I'm going to do it on the screen. If I do it out here, it doesn't help anybody. Okay, what color do you see, Kristian, on the flame? It's just a regular American Bic lighter. Is it white, gold, yellow? What do you want to say?
I see gold,
Okay.
gold.
Now, here, I'll put up three angels. So Charlotte's everybody's favorite teacher from childhood with words meant to help you expand. Min, like Minnesota, Lakota Sioux word for water. She's water, watery, Hawaiian spirituality, Mother Hawaii, and what else? Light waves of energy and water. So the bottom line is you got yellow, you got blue, I don't know my colors, blue, pink, and a whitish, maybe sea spray with rainbow flecks. Here that you've got this at home, if you want to put your hand out and feel the vibe, just ask for a little extra help from the universe. If you have to play pickleball tomorrow, this is how you're going to ask an angel to jump in your arm and hit a winner. Winner, chicken dinner. And here we go. You can have extra light on top of what we know is just the Bic lighter. So ask for sparks, ask for a heart, ask for little fireworks. Whatever the person at home wants to ask for, you've got to do the figuring out. And it's what Kristian said about before, like, hey, I don't even know what I'm asking for. Just make it good, make it big, make it fun. Get a better adjective, like swap it out. Like this is what you were just saying. Take out the adjective and say, sock it to me. That's a higher vibe. Yeah. So here it goes, but are you ready? And I'll tell one dad joke to help everybody reset. I'll do the one we did before the show. Where in a hospital is the worst place to play hide and seek? Where? In the ICU. Okay. So here we go. Deep breath. If anyone's stressed about this, you're feeling challenged by it, or it's whatever, exhale like a whale. Let go what doesn't serve. Okay, here we go. And allow. No try Yoda. I'll do Yoda's voice to distract everybody. Do not. There is no try. And I'm a glutton for just throwing myself under the bus if it means you're going to lighten up and have fun. Kristian, what are you seeing around the lights? Getting a little extra anything? A purple, a blue, a pink, a whitish?
I definitely see a blue and I saw sparkles and then like a smiley face, which I wasn't expecting to see. So that was fun.
I don't think I've done that more than once on 100 shows. So, and certainly no one's gotten that much flavor. So I love it. Let's throw Charlotte up for a little more serious, like a topical podcast topic, although she may be like, nah, let's do this. Here, it's all you. What's Charlotte got for you? She's a little older, folks, in her 40s or 50s. If you like ancient Egypt, it's her. And she's got an Orion background. You can chat with her directly about that. And she's unconditional love. That's all that matters, with a lot of flavor. She's one of my business managers who kicked my butt 12 years ago and still you know, it was very nice. But like I said, very thorough. And you can see angels in human form. Don't hesitate. Just say to the universe, hey, in the next 2 weeks, can I have sparkly-eyed strangers show up on my path? And I'll be completely rocked and surprised and talking about it for a month afterwards. Why not? I love the expression, why not?
Yeah.
Okay, what are you getting from Charlotte you can share with us?
Yeah, so surprisingly, I try to talk with her more about it, but she was really like, no, this. She she mentioned talking about, does that sound like Charlotte? She said to remind folks about the importance of who they are in romantic relationship with. So who you choose to be your romantic partner is so powerful for your life, your spiritual journey. It makes a huge difference on your level of ascension, how much you can expand into who you really are. So, a lot of times, folks are making decisions to be in relationships because of insecurity, because of their wounds from childhood, because they didn't feel loved growing up. So many people are settling for relationships that are not like fully loving both ways and are not fully like the highest experience that the individuals can have. So she was just I feel very passionately about this, and she was just saying make sure you talk about this because it's something that kind of gets overlooked. And I've noticed over the 14 years, well, 16 years I've been doing this work, how much women especially, I work primarily with women, so that's really my area of expertise. Perhaps this happens for men too, but how often women are like on their spiritual path, but then their partnership is just like in a totally different, that their partner isn't engaged, their partner isn't on the spiritual path. That actually, I've never seen that allow the other person to ascend to a higher state of consciousness. That whoever you're in relationship with, you can only go as high as the person who's the most developed is. So if you've got someone who is carrying a lower frequency, you're never going to be able to have your full potential. So, and I see women make excuses for this, and it's because they're insecure. It's because, you know, they didn't feel loved as a child. There's all different kinds of reasons we partner with people. Sometimes it's a karmic bond from other incarnations. There's all kinds of reasons why we'll stay in relationships that are not truly supportive of our highest expansion. But it's really important to look at who you're in romantic relationship with and make sure that you can become the highest, most radiant version of yourself, and that they also desire that for themselves and for you, because couples get into codependency and they actually hold each other back. So neither can fully elevate, or one person will be trying to take the other person back to where they're comfortable, which is a lower frequency. So really important who you choose to be in relationship with, who you choose to have sex with, like all of that greatly affects your ability to fulfill your mission, to have the best life that you can have, to live your own personal heaven on earth. And I think it's something that doesn't get talked about as much as maybe it needs to be.
Beautiful.
So thank you, Charlotte, for bringing that in.
And here, you can hear a reply back from her that'll make you laugh.
Yeah, she high-fived me. Yeah, yeah, girl.
Okay, so Min is a soft-spoken professor, light waves of energy and water, and really complex name out of 200 figures, but Min is like Minnesota. Wal is a Polynesian morning glory with morning glory flowers up top, sweet potato vine underneath. But again, soft-spoken, serious as a background. We're not trying to be too serious here. Get what you can get from her and then share what you'd like to share. But if anybody wants to catch a little wind in the room where you have to leap up, run to your thermostat and check if the AC is on, or you're wondering about the windows, it's the natural human reaction to everything. When we get lots of love, we often start thinking right away in a panic. And even a breeze can throw you off in your own apartment, home, the room that you're in. And what are you getting from Min?
Min is talking about the importance of planting a garden and the importance of all of us in growing our own food at some level. So even if you can just do like, you know, microgreens in your kitchen, on your kitchen counter, do that. They have these amazing garden towers you can put on your balcony. Like there's container gardens. Yeah, there's so many ways to grow a garden. And she was just talking about how it's really important for us, one, for just the grounding and being connecting with earth and the miracle that earth is, that it can just like grow things. You put a seed in soil and water it, it grows into something amazing that you can eat. And also two, to bless that food. So you can even put the seed, put it in your mouth, put some of your saliva on the seed, bless that seed. The plants are actually meant to merge with the human DNA and give your body what it needs. So doing some key planting, like what are the things that grow like on the Oregon coast? It's a little bit tricky, but kale grows in abundance there. So I just plant a ton of kale. I merge my saliva with the seed. I do a blessing. So this kale is blessing my body. It's going to bless everyone we feed it to. It's going to be like this incredible light in my area and in my garden. So you can use, the garden can benefit you in so many ways, spiritually, physically, emotionally. It can bring you so much joy to connect with Mother Earth and nature in that way. But if you can, just tune in to how you could best grow some food for yourself. Like what would be the easiest way for you to get started? Make sure it's organic, of course, so there's no exposure or limited exposure to pesticides and herbicides, and really work with that and see what journey you go on with planting your own garden. Because I'm not naturally someone with a green thumb, but my spiritual team guided me to this several years ago, and it's just become a priority. And it's almost like part of my spiritual practice now and my spiritual healing, to eat the food that I've helped support and bless. Every time I water, I'm blessing it. Make it your own little ritual. But I love that Min brought that in for us. Thank you.
Nice. I'll do one more angel, maybe a light being or someone. We'll see after that. But here's Mac. Don't call her Mackenzie. Everything plants, animals, and nature. And she said, I believe 99% sure she's like Charlotte with an Orion background. Get what you can get from Mac. I think I actually should turn it this way. There's a smiley face in there, actually. She's one of the surf instructors with Penelope. If anybody ever wants to close their eyes and go to Hawaii, it's kind of interdimensional. You just know how to surf like a pro. 5 minutes of our time is 10 minutes over there, but whatever. Two show hosts, though, sitting with their eyes shut, got to see each other on the waves, even though one's on the west coast of the US and the east coast, and it was a three-way Zoom call. And in Omega, three women got to see each other and they're sitting in chairs. So I'm really trying to push the idea that there's no limits. If you just ask for a little help during your day, imagine how much you're going to get. You don't have to go surfing in Hawaii. What do you get from Mac?
She's actually showing me like a flower farm and letting flowers like bless your life.
Hmm.
So we were just talking about Min brought in the food growing and growing your own food for the multidimensional benefits you get. And then Mac was saying, and also don't forget about the flowers. And then she showed me being in the garden and cutting the flowers and then placing them in a vase and letting that beauty bless your home, bless your life, to stop and smell the flowers, to really remember that these flowers have been put here for many reasons, but one is to also bless our experience and to bring more of that personal heaven on earth into our home environment as well as in our gardens. Love
Right.
that.
Yes, beautiful. And that's I got a green thumb coming from New York City, like back, I guess this is in 2010, 2011 in Texas, but I'd grow flowers and take shots of them, and that's a sunflower. Um,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay, so for a light being named Grace, she's enthusiasm. I always get the light wrong. Orange light, not blue light. If you want to sit still and close your eyes, I don't have a photo or anything to use, but you don't need it. Just close your eyes and let light being, and I always describe light beings like whales, angels are like dolphins. It's all cool. It's just a little more love and flowing. But Grace will come in and just say hello, and you can catch up after the show with her. But she's just a really broad, enthusiastic energy and orange light. You may see it in the room around you as well. Is that okay to do this? And you'll connect how you ever you want to connect, or are you already connecting right now?
Yeah.
What are you getting from her?
She actually showed me the carnelian stone, the gemstone carnelian, and then its power to heal the womb. And so she was showing me like placing the carnelian stone on the womb and meditating with it. So for whoever that speaks to, I would recommend that. And I'm going to get myself a carnelian today. So thank you.
I have a little tray over there, but I don't have any carnelian. They're in a box in a closet. That's beautiful. Okay, what else can we do daily? Like, how do we just understand that it's already there? You just have to like use what you've got in a different way in your apartment, your house, your kitchen, your outdoors. How do we slow our roll and do kind of the Thich Nhat Hanh on everything?
Mm. Well, definitely, I believe that daily meditation practice really sets the foundation. Daily gratitude practice really sets the foundation. Moving the body, preferably out in nature if you can, but if you can't, however you can do it. If you have to be in a gym or, the weather isn't great, if you can be on the bike, but open the window so you're getting some of that energy and mana from the earth. So also the nutrition, blessing the food, the drink before you place it into your body. And then I would say the next piece would be inner child work. That has been really huge for me. And I was very resistant to it. And one of my mentors said, like, you have to do this. And I'm like, but I am doing all these other spiritual things. I have these spiritual gifts. What do I need to do my inner child work for? But we all have a little boy or little girl, inner child, who did not get maybe all the love that he or she needed, did not get the kind of um, appreciation that he or she needed. And those aspects of ourself can be running our relationships. They can be running our relationship with money. They can be running our career. And when we actually take the time to slow down and connect with them and be with them and actually integrate them back into our heart, then they're no longer running our adult experience. So I do have an inner child process that I teach, and it's through a simple guide that you can start doing your own self-healing sessions. We also certify coaches in our particular coaching technology or healing technology, really working with a modality that encompasses psychic, emotional, somatic, and also this deep inner child work, because these little people that are still living inside of us are often running certain areas of our life. So one of the responses you might get from your angels or from the universe is like, well, when you're ready, you can have this, this, and this. Well, what does it mean to be ready? It means that you've actually taken those split off parts of yourself that are hurting and are still in pain or sadness or wounds, and you've integrated them back into your adult self. And now your adult higher self is running your life, not those fragmented aspects of yourself. So again, this is a multidimensional experience on earth. Working with the angels, super important. Working with our spiritual body, super important. And we've got this physical body and our emotional body that needs love and attention as well.
Okay, so if someone's not sure which way to engage you, what's the basic sort of, is it a 1 hour session they can sign up for that'll help get the rapport going? And then from there, it'll be more crystal clear which direction they can head. You'll know. But how do they reach out? How do they grab you? And what's the gist of all that?
Yeah, I recommend going to my site, sacred-spirituality.org, or you can find me on Instagram at Sacred Spirituality 111, which I love. This is episode 111, which is super magical. And start with one of my free meditations, one of my free gifts. I have a free first chapter of my books, one of, my channeled transmissions. And if you feel the resonance, then we can begin our journey together. Yeah, I love that we're episode 111. It's so amazing. And so from there, I'm really at this time in my incarnation, my guidance and my mission is to assist other light beings and healers in creating really successful, thriving practices as healers to support this new earth, this golden age that we are collectively moving into. And so I have 2 certification programs that I offer, and I mentor and support other healers in doing what I've been able to do and taking it even higher, because we're in a whole new timeline and a whole new dimension of reality. But the first place to start is at my website, and try out one of my free offers and see if you feel the resonance. And if you do, let's go.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, some different quotes. It could be from an angel, it could be Eckhart Tolle. I don't think there's any Paulo Coelho in here, but let me just randomly pick some stuff. Okay, there's an angel named Carol, who is the Akashic Records and Knowledge. I always call her a librarian. I'm giving her short shrift. Whoops. She said, ego will not stop us from our tasks. It just slows down the process. And then a Winnie the Pooh quote. Some people talk to animals, not many listen though. That's the problem. And I would add, that's the opportunity for us all. And then one more quote. I'm just randomly doing this.
Love it.
Okay, perfection is imperfection, and imperfection, perfection. Only one's thinking can separate the two. And I made that one up, but it just must have been a late night. Okay.
I love it.
Let's focus on one of them, any of them, or what did all 3 of them push you towards to talk to us about? Any which way you want to spin the wheel.
I really loved the piece, the first one, because it caught my attention around this topic of destiny, and that I do believe that each of us incarnates here with a specific mission and destiny. And so the ego, the mind, the wounding, it might try to like circumvent that. It might try to get us to, be on these, scenic routes is what I call them. And I certainly was on a scenic route in my life before my spiritual awakening. But when you have a mission, when you have a destiny, life will redirect you there. And so to really look at if you're in a state of crisis or you have things happening with your body or in your life and you think, oh no, this is the worst thing ever, I want to invite you into the possibility that it is the best thing that ever happened to you. You just aren't on the other side of it yet to know that, and that it's actually redirecting you to your destiny. So I really look at any of those major like life crisis as an opportunity for you to get more on your path. So the question to ask is, how can this take me higher? How can I let this experience take me higher? And sometimes it's really hard when you're in the middle of it to see that, but that's okay. If you can just keep reiterating to yourself some of the things that we've talked about here today, doing a daily meditation practice, just little baby steps that you can take, and recognizing that your destiny, your mission will take place, whether in this incarnation or another one. It is meant to be, it is written, it will happen. But better if you are willing to be redirected. Like I could have probably tried to fight against what I went through in 2008, but I was in such a surrendered state because I was such a vulnerable place that I was able to take that redirection. So let these major life shifts be what they are, which is redirections to your destiny and to your highest path.
There's a guest in the 70s, episode 70 something, who had a workplace, had a type of corporate career she was really successful at, making a lot of money, but she kept hearing leave the job and she didn't want to do it. And on the third or fourth reminder, she left. And I think it was a week later, the feds raided the company, and it had nothing to do with her practice, but they literally, that company was gone in no time. And that is one of the most extreme. I was laughing, she was laughing, but it wasn't easy at the time. And none of this feels easy. So one quick reminder that that's absolutely just a natural reaction at the brain level, is it's discomfort. And I'll give you a quote to help you shift in this direction. It's a NASA astronaut, and it's one of my favorite quotes. It's Story Musgrave, NASA astronaut. Getting out of the comfortable path, that's what exploration is all about.
Yes, yes. And we have to be uncomfortable to grow to the next level. And that's, like you said, it's a totally natural response to resist that, but don't, notice you're resisting it, but then try to surrender into that wave, because it's really redirecting you to something that's even more magnificent than what you're experiencing currently.
Okay, last couple of things here. I will do one random last quote. Not looking. Okay. Wei Wu Wei, I believe the sculptor out of China. How I got this one. Why are you unhappy? Because 99.9% of everything you think and of everything you do is for yourself, and there isn't one. Whoa.
Yeah. Everyone meditate on that.
Just rewind, play it again, and then it's basically, when you're here, everything is easy. Sorry, you're one with all, you're in the flow. How do I do this? Can you take over and talk about the flip side of it? When you're here, you're connected to everything. You're in the flow, the slipstream of love, the global cosmic slipstream of love. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and this is, another one of those things our minds can't necessarily conceive and fully grasp, like the vastness of this multidimensional universe and this multidimensional experience. But we are source, and we are also an individualized expression of source. And that's essentially what that quote is telling us, that we are the all that is, and we are an individual consciousness. So how can both be true? That's something to meditate on and sit with, because it is both true. And it's powerful to know that we have this vastness within us, and we're also an individual consciousness having an experience here. So I love that, though. I love those sort of, seeming paradoxes that this incarnation brings, because it forces us out of the smallness that the ego wants to put us in, or it forces us out of that sense of separation that the ego or the mind can put us in, and recognizing like, wait, we're all connected and we're divine beings, and we're also our individualized self. How cool is that we created this for ourselves?
Can we do one final, just hear from Joy if we've got permission to do it. She'll be doing all the horsepower anyhow, and we aren't horsing around. Disney butterfly, special effects CGI all over your room, pink, I guess. Do you mind asking for little pink butterflies all over, and just allow at home? You just want to see one pink butterfly, or if you're really like, oh, I don't know about this, close your eyes and have her make at least pink light on your eyelids. Or you can close your eyes to start, but when you hear ready, look around the room and you might at least get pink glitter. It depends on how bold or, because remember, the brain wants to control and be in the driver's seat. So this is about letting go and having fun and letting the universe totally delight you. Look, kids do it all the time. And then they got to be an adult and it's all over for a little while. Which version of pink light, did you already do something? I wasn't looking your way. So did you get pink light there, pink light here? Did you just feel it? And here's Joy one more time so you guys can have your powwow.
Yeah, I saw a pink butterfly kind of float through my heart center and around the room. Yeah.
This is buried so far into the interview, you don't have to worry about it. There's only going to be a few people. But if you're here watching, this is the public service announcement. You have to comment on Kristian's energy, high vibe. You have to comment on what you experienced. You have to comment on something. Commenting gets you out of your zone up here and into here, and it's going to help a lot of other people see this show, see her. It's going to be equal practice to opening up at any point during any day of the week, because opening is opening, or letting go is letting go. This is thinking, and let me do the opposite. It's this. So this would be open heart here. And let's do a final chat about the big picture, but it's not. About how this is what you were talking about before. It's timelessness, it's awareness, it's no limits, it's unconditional love, it's possibility, hope, charity, faith, all the good stuff. And then up here is all the resistance, fear, judgment, worry, judgment, and knowing that precludes possibility. There's two huge flows. Part of the name of the game of getting started in this whole monopoly thing, or game of life that you said, is understanding the difference. It ain't easy. It could take decades, 2 lifetimes. Can you give us the very masterful Paulo Coelho version of this all, and why this is the nature of man to discover on their own so they can own bigger love?
Oh my gosh, we'd have to do a whole other episode for this. Okay.
Well, you can come back anytime. I'm game. Like, you've got
and I will.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah, maybe we go deeper into that in the next episode, but I would say the empowerment of recognizing that you specifically chose to come here at this time in consciousness. You chose this body. Exactly how your body looks is what you chose. You chose the parents, you chose the very specific, like, big events in your life that you could have so that you could become more of who you really are. Florence Scovel Shinn, she was one of, like, the OG metaphysician. I talk about her. She wrote The Game of Life and How to Play It. It's like in 1910. She talks about this, all of Paulo Coelho's work in his early days, his early books talks about this. The Celestine Prophecy talks about this. My books talk about this. Great masters all over have been talking about this. This is, we consciously chose to be here at this time and do this work and have this path. So don't give up. Don't give up hope. Don't give up knowing that you're here for a divine purpose. And the more you can let go of the programming in the mind and drop into the heart, the more extraordinary your golden age will be.
Oh, and I was looking for that Paulo Coelho book. That's a red one. Again, it was like Adulterer or something like that. I forgot. Yeah. And that's a tough one to get into compared to his others.
Yeah.
Okay. Last little bit. Your unconscious mind speaks a language people can hear even when your conscious mind has not spoken yet. So that's the equivalent of seeing auras on people. And just by taking a breath, can't people lower their temperature a little, or their pressure? And so isn't there just something beyond the brain that the brain can't grasp that is the equivalent of breathing, walking a smoother path, allowing more, being happy for no reason whatsoever? Last thing for the show. You're it. This is it. You're closing us out here.
I love you, and Source loves you, and all of the angels of the highest light love you. And you are a divine being, and you're a divine being, and you have incredible supernatural powers and gifts. And you only have to remove the programming of the mind so that you can live in that radiance. Thank you. I'm so happy we did this.
Dr. Kristian Strang, thank you so much for coming on Angels, Positivity, and Love. You're amazing. People can check out the details below the video for your books. You just finished your 13th, again, metaphysical psychologist, much more than that, healer, just helper, and very plugged in with the universe. Lots of guides, lots of help, lots of angels, lots of other beings of light. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for coming on the show again.
Thank you for having me, Michael. This was so fun.